Hi, everybody. This is Justine Wettschreck, Director of News and Information, and I'm talking today with Jim Hagedorn. He's the Republican candidate for the U.S. Representative District 1. He's running against DFL incumbent Tim Walz, and he has been all over the place. We've had him here quite a few times in the last few months, so welcome.
Oh, it's great to be here. Always a pleasure to visit Worthington in southwest Minnesota.
All right. Well, like I said, you've been through the area so many times in the last few months, and there's just been, you've been out visiting so many different places. So I have a couple of questions for you, and the first one would be, since you've been visiting so many different people, I would love to know what people have been telling you are some of the concerns that they have going on in District 1 here.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the Hagedorn campaign is an insurgent challenger campaign, and part of what we do is we try to meet the people on Main Street or parades, county fairs, whatever. And what we've been hearing are a number of things. First of all, on an individual basis, a lot of people are concerned that their basic costs are going up. For instance, the cost of health care. Under Obamacare, you're seeing a lot of families who are having to spend upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 before they get anything back for their health care. That is certainly not affordable, and it's putting a squeeze on families out there, making it tough for people to save, invest, or just get by. Folks are also concerned about their energy costs. Electricity costs up, fuel costs, the price of food, which is tied to that, has skyrocketed. And that, again, is taking money out of their back pocket, making it difficult for them to utilize monies in ways that they would probably otherwise like to, maybe buy big disposable items and so forth. And that has an effect on the economy. Small business people that we talk with on Main Street are really concerned about regulations. Regulations, whether it's coming out of the EPA or the federal government or even here the state of Minnesota, kind of cracking down on them, making it tough to do business, driving up their costs. And lastly, the farmers. The farmers' concerns are that their costs continue to increase, but now the price of the commodities is down. Sense a little bit of a pullback in agriculture. Some of the farmers are concerned that, for instance, we didn't build the Keystone Pipeline. That's something that Congressman Walz and I disagree on. He voted against the Keystone Pipeline. I'm for it. And that could create some storage issues as harvest comes in, even problems with propane. Again, these types of things are going to undermine farmers, and I'm concerned about that as well.
So when we talk about some of these different issues, how do you plan to address them?
Well, when it comes to Obamacare, I think the bill needs to be repealed and replaced. It's a monstrosity that's driving up people's costs, and it's going to send good doctors and technicians out of medicine. Ultimately, we're going to get rationing, and the bill has to go away. I would replace it with tax credits directly to individuals so people can hold their own private insurance, have health savings accounts that would be backed by catastrophic coverage. What we want is for people to shop for their day-to-day medical care and try to put some downward pressure on price and have some cost containment in that area. But I think a top-down Washington, D.C. approach, as Congressman Walz voted for, that was a big mistake. That's hurting the people he represents, and we need to go a different direction. On energy, we also have big disagreements. He's a cap-and-trade extremist who believes that we need to restrict fossil fuels and it would block things like the Keystone Pipeline. I'm on the other side. I think we need to have energy independence led by exploration on public lands. We need to sustain the coal industry, not try to put it out of existence like Obama and Walz are doing with the EPA regulations. And then we have to have the proper infrastructure to use all the natural resources that God gave us. And the United States has more natural resources than any other country in the world. We need new pipelines like Keystone. We need distribution points. We need new refineries. And if we do these types of things, it's going to put downward pressure on energy prices. And that's good because the price of everything in our society is tied to energy. And we need to make those types of reforms.
What are we going to do this fall, this winter, when it comes to propane? What's going to happen with that?
Well, that is a problem. Again, I mean, if we have kind of a wet harvest and you're going to have farmers needing to dry their corn and their crops, going to be a demand for propane over and above what would be normal. And we have some distribution problems there, some pipeline issues that are going to put a strain on that. It's going to force a lot of the propane to be trucked down. It's very expensive. And sadly, I see this setting up to where we're going to have another calamity like we did last year, and it's going to impact people in their homes that use it for heating, and it's going to certainly drive up costs for farmers. And right now, the farmers just can't absorb any more excessive cost. We're in a situation where the commodity prices are low and they're being squeezed, and you know what happens when farmers are in trouble, then Main Street rural America is in trouble, and I unfortunately see some bad things down the road. I hope that won't happen, but these are critical times.
What are you hearing lately about the VA? I know that was something that there was being a lot of talk about for a while, and I guess I haven't heard a whole lot about it in the last few days. Are you hearing anything about that?
Well, we heard again recently that one of our veteran heroes had been scheduled for an appointment. Unfortunately, the soldier had passed away before his appointment. I think the fellow was from the Minneapolis VA there, and he had some seizure disorders. And here's where I stand on this whole Veterans Administration thing. The veterans in this country, after 6 years of President Obama and 8 years of Congressman Walz, are receiving substandard and not very timely care in some cases. Veterans are dying at the hands of the U.S. government. Veterans are waiting over a year for their benefits, their basic benefits, and it's a disgrace. And the Congress passed a bill here a couple months ago that said if a veteran lived more than 40 miles from a VA clinic and had an appointment to see a doctor over 30 days, well, then that veteran could go to his or her own doctor and the government would reimburse them. That's ridiculous. If Congressman Walz were sick, he wouldn't wait 30 days to go to the doctor. He'd go the very next day or as soon as possible. And every veteran in this country deserves the same opportunity at quality, timely health care as Congressman Walz and the other members of Congress and the federal bureaucrats. And that's the policy that I stand for.
Again, we're talking to Jim Hagedorn. We have that November 4th election come up. Anything else that you want to remind everybody about? Any other messages you want to leave everybody with?
Well, I'm very concerned about national security, and we have an open border situation in this country that hasn't been addressed by, frankly, both parties for the last 15 or 20 years. We have people overstaying their passports and visas in the United States. Now we have a non-deportation policy out of President Obama, an executive order that he did by executive fiat. And we're gonna have problems because there are people around the world that want to come here and disrupt our society. And think how few people it would take to change our way of life here in the United States. So the government, one of the things I want to do when I get to Congress is to put a little backbone in the U.S. government and force us to defend this country and reform immigration, not with amnesty, but to do it by securing the borders and by having work programs that make sense and fixing the visa and passport system. So national security is a high priority of mine. Otherwise, I just would ask people for their vote. We're out here working very hard, meeting the folks. If you want to learn more about our campaign, it's at jimhagedorn.org. And, just appreciate people getting out to vote and doing their part for the political process.
All right. Well, thanks for your time today. We sure appreciate it. I love the fact that you've stopped by so often, and we wish you the best on the November 4th general election. And as always, want to remind everybody, get out there and vote.